Hi, I'm Seychelle, a Jamaican international student from Harvard class of 2024. Welcome to Harvard Highlights, where I feature Harvard students, past and present, and their stories, showcase aspects of Harvard life and culture, and highlight interesting opportunities and communities at Harvard. If you're interested in an entertaining, engaging, and educational podcast on all things Harvard, you're at the right place. Coming up on Harvard Highlights.
And I think that's what got me in. I had good grades. I played a sport. I represented Jamaica in squash for several years. I led things at my school. But you're competing against thousands of kids who do a lot of similar activities. Do not have a transactional experience. You need to have a transformative experience.
Exactly.
Jobs. Okay, there's jobs. There's so many jobs you can work on the campus. I totally forgot to talk about jobs.
Okay, yeah.
It's how you make money as a student.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Harvard Highlight. I'm Seychelle, Harvard class of 2024, and I'm here with a very special guest that I'm excited for you to meet.
Hello, I'm Rhys. I am a sophomore and I'm the class of 2027. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, which people are always surprised by, but it's true, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little. How has it been navigating Harvard? Because you're an international student, but I guess when people see you, then Jamaica is probably not the first thing that comes to mind. So how have you know?
So when last year, freshman year, the very first set of classes I had, usually classes start with an introductory period where people go around the room and say their names, where they're from, what they're interested in. And freshman year, a lot of people don't know what they're concentrating in. So we say like what dorms we were in and stuff like that. And I'd say that I'm from Jamaica and people would be puzzled. And then sitting down in Annenberg is our dining hall. Annenberg is a specific room within Memorial Hall, which is this very large building that was built to commemorate the soldiers who from Harvard fought in the American Civil War. And you just talk to people. And people would look at me, and they'd look at me, and they'd look at me again. They'd be like, "Are you sure?"
Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Yep, Jamaica Plains,
yeah.
Jamaica Plains, which is a district in Boston. So there's a lot of that, but I just clarify, and there's no issues there.
Okay.
It does surprise everyone though.
I see.
Because they're like, "Oh, a white Jamaican," and they're like, "Does that exist?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then a lot of people see this guy on Instagram. I don't know, he's an Issa, but I don't know what his first name is. I think his Instagram, he's an Issa, but his Instagram is called SideQuest or something. He goes around asking people random stuff. And so everyone just sends me these videos every time they see one. I like my Instagram inbox is just people sending me his videos.
Yeah, people from
Harvard?
Harvard?
People at Harvard are like, "Oh, well look, there's another one," and they send me all of his videos. So I'm very familiar with the guy now.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I do watch SideQuest from time to time.
Hello, go on, bossy. Yeah, sir. You want to hear a joke?
Yeah, man.
What you call a boat what can fly?
A boat what can fly?
Yeah.
No, the one that, no.
What you mean no?
No, the one that hard, bro. Boat what can fly?
Yeah.
Me no know the boat what can fly.
Yeah, but it's a joke.
But me no know the boat what can
You don't know that one.
boat
Alright, may I go tell you?
Yeah.
Small foot.
No,
Small foot. Small.
no, yeah, me win.
Yeah.
No, you catch me on that
You
one,
get
though.
it.
Catch me.
Alright, cool. So, yeah, we were talking a little bit more about freshman year. Now you're in your sophomore year. What are some of your highlights, I would say, so far in your journey at Harvard?
So coming in, I did a pre-orientation program called the First Year International Program called FIP.
Yes.
And I really loved my time in it. So much so that I then went and sat down and applied and went through the interview process to become a leader. So essentially they'd break international students up into these units that they call families. There's like 3 students. These students are sophomores, juniors, or seniors. It's usually 1 sophomore, 1 junior, and 1 senior to cover all the years. And then as a freshman, when you enter the program, you're assigned to these groups. And these upperclassmen, they give you tips, they give you advice, they tell you about different things on campus. And between all the leaders, they must cover, I'd imagine, almost every space within the campus. So it's this really great incubation period that gets students, into Harvard. It makes them become like they're unsure because it's all international students. We're all leaving our homes, we're all leaving our families, we're all leaving our friends, and we're not going to be going back for like Veterans Day or Columbus Day or any of the interim holidays really. Thanksgiving, I've never been back for Thanksgiving, and it makes people forget about that. It's a lot of fun. It's a great experience. There are boring panels every morning at like 9 a.m. But other than that, it's so good. And I came back again this year as a leader, and that's one of my favorite things at Harvard. I'm already looking forward to next year. It's like a 2-week period right before school starts, so it's the last week and a half to 2 weeks of August.
Yeah, well, I'm glad FIP was like a great community for you.
I think it would have been different for you.
Oh yeah, FIP for me was online. And so we'd try to take Zoom family photos. There's this one guy in my family that would never show up. And then it was sad because I felt like I had a good connection with my FIP mom in particular, but
who I would not know.
No, but she graduated, so we didn't even have time to like meet them.
Was she a senior?
That sort of thing. And then things didn't translate very well when I came in person. I think we had SIP, which was a once in a, just for our year, a sophomore international program.
I see.
Yeah, and even then when we met at SIP, we were very excited about the name. We're like, SIP? Okay. Are there gonna be drinks, that sort of thing?
Not any Harvard run event.
But yeah, I see them from time to time, but some of the times I recognize them more than they do me, so it's just like a bit unfortunate there. But I've found community in other spaces, so.
I'll tell you, I had mine in person, and there's 2 people in my family who just did not participate. They weren't very interested in it, and that's how it is. It's over 200 kids. This year's was the biggest one yet. It was like 212 kids or something.
Oh, nice.
That then reduced to like 190 something, because people have a lot of things going on when they're moving in. But I think it's changed a lot. It's now widely regarded, and this is not just my opinion, but it's now considered the best orientation program.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
We'll
Because
see
there's
what
other
FOP
ones.
has to say.
No, FOP has no.
Yeah.
FOP is the outdoor program where kids go on hikes and they go trekking. They don't shower for a week. They come back and they smell. Everyone smells them. They stay in a cabin. Maybe lights on fire, stuff like that. Not as exciting. And people always get hurt. It's incomparable, but it is the longest running program. In all seriousness, the most students out of all the orientation programs, hundreds and hundreds do FOP. I think it's like 500 or 600.
Nice.
So that is definitely popular. But FIP in recent years just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Nicole, who is in charge of it, is very passionate about students in general, but I think also the international community. So
Yeah, she's an absolute
I know
blessing.
the program is in good hands. Yeah.
Under her leadership, it's totally ballooned. I don't know if the bubble's going to burst, but I don't even know how we could get better from last year. This year was really nothing. It all went well. The applications are open for any freshmen, sophomores.
Mhm.
I don't think it's as common that a senior comes on to it,
Yeah.
like a junior who's finishing up.
Rising senior.
Yeah, rising senior, sorry. I think it's mainly sophomores, and there's always a few juniors. Also depends on, usually once you get in, you can choose to remain in it, but people, they have jobs over the summers that may conflict, and then you don't continue it. But other than FIP, there's been a few other things. I play squash quite regularly down at the Merce Center, which is across the river, the Charles River.
Oh, nice.
Which is a nice, long walk in the cold on the regular. And I play there, play club squash, and I also play a recreational league, which is like a level above club squash.
Oh, okay.
Where you represent the actual facility itself, and you compete against other clubs within the greater Boston area. So it's like 15 clubs or so, and you play a match at your club, a match at their club. So that's another thing. That's how I keep in shape. Other than that, I have a good set of friends. We, once every 2 weeks or so, a group of us, guys mainly, will get together, watch a movie, and every week we have a weekly poker night, which is a great way for, you lose money, you gain money, but it's a great way for, and gambling, do not gamble if you're underage. But it's a great way to stay connected with people, especially because the house system, has someone explained the house system in a previous interview?
I don't think we have. Yeah, feel free to.
Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this
Yeah.
quick. When you're a freshman, you're a first year student, you live in the yard. Harvard Yard is kind of like imagine like a square. All the freshmen are put in there with a few freshmen are put outside of it. There's around 1,650 kids in each year group, barring the COVID year groups, because a lot of people deferred their admission because they didn't want to come to school during COVID. After your freshman year, you form late on in your freshman year, about halfway into the second semester, you form a group. These are your friends. These are the people you're going to enter a lottery with.
Yeah, your blocking group.
It's called your blocking group. And in the past, you could link with another group. It's been abolished for our year. A lot of things were removed for our year.
Interesting.
And then you get assigned to a house. There are 12 houses. 3 are about 15 to 20 minutes away from the yard. And the rest are down by the river, the same river I mentioned earlier that I walk across, which is called the Charles River. And each house they have different identities, they have different colors, different histories, and people get sorted into the houses, and that's where you'll live, that's where you'll eat. You are open to eat in other houses as well, but most of your time would be spent in this house, as opposed to when you're a freshman, every freshman eats in Annenberg, regardless of what dorm they're in. So you see your entire year group every day, and that's the only time in your college experience that you will see your entire year group so constantly. So that's why I said that, since coming to be a sophomore, there's been a big breakdown in that regard, because I'd see much more people than I knew, and I'd always interact with, I could just sit down at their tables, I'd see people that I, may see once every 2-3 weeks, but I'd say hi to more. Now there's some friends that I've seen only once or twice this semester, just because everyone's schedules are so busy.
Right.
I promise you that Sage can attest this, that finding lunch with a Harvard student is a miserable experience.
We still haven't been able to get lunch.
No, we can do better. We can do better than that.
So you talked a little bit that about the differences on a social level between freshman and sophomore year. How have things been academics wise? I know recently you declared. What's officially your concentration?
Okay, so academically, as a freshman, your first semester you can only take 4 courses. That equates to 16 credits. Each course is 4 credits. And your freshman fall is usually your easiest semester at the school, which is how it should be. This is a time for you to meet people, make your friends.
It's how it should be.
It's how it should
Do not be like me.
But some people do not listen to the advice of many faculty and senior students.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing that was different. Like, there is no upperclassman in my ear telling me about like do's and don'ts in terms of my interest in BME. So I was kind of just because I was back home during my freshman year. And I was really set on, I want to explore bioengineering. So I ended up taking 3 PSET classes my freshman fall. It was awful, and I would never recommend that for a freshman.
And you advised Zaria against that?
Huh?
Zaria's BME as well.
Yeah.
Biomedical engineering.
A freshman seminar about astrology.
Oh yeah, I did a freshman seminar about death, philosophy of death and immortality. It wasn't as good as I was hoping, but it was. I enjoyed it, but I thought it was going to be. I just think it moved too slowly.
I see.
I think that's the issue with freshman seminars. They don't really count for credits, but they're something that's exclusive to freshmen, and it's usually led by a senior faculty member, and it's a seminar. It's just a group of very small class, like 12 people at most, around a table, and you talk. And in my experience, a lot of them are about philosophy or something like that, like a very specific field that that professor deigns to. He just wants to have a conversation with students, really. But it's a good experience. I can't say whether or not incoming freshmen should do it or not.
Yeah.
I think it depends on if there's one that they're really interested in. Otherwise, I personally think I wouldn't do it again. I didn't choose to do another one. Let's just say that.
Okay. Yeah. So
But
you were saying about.
Yeah. So the question was how it was a difference academically.
Right.
Well, I declared social studies, which I know sounds a bit silly, because I was doing social studies in grade 3. That's what you're studying going into integrated science and social studies before they break them down. But social studies is a unique major, I think, in the sense that at Harvard, there are courses you have to take for your majors called requirements. Very standard. A concentration is a major. Social studies is one where you kind of build your own major. So you're looking at the course catalog, and there are about 6 courses that you have to take, most of which are called tutorials, and tutorials are innate to that major, and I imagine most degrees here have a tutorial of some kind.
Yes.
And social studies is a major that requires you to write a thesis. So there's also like senior thesis seminars.
Okay.
So there's certain requirements you have to do, but other than that, you build a focus field, and a focus field really is a pool of classes that are somewhat situated within the context of what your thesis is going to be about. So the idea is that the classes you take have to be able to help or contribute to the thesis that you write. So you have complete freedom over what you're writing, as long as it has its roots. It doesn't even need to have its roots entirely in social theory. I know someone last year who wrote theirs on the aesthetics of emojis. It could be whatever you want. That's what a thesis is. It's just a field of topic that's very, very niche, very, very specific, because you can't be too broad. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a thesis. And, I mean, I haven't figured out exactly what I want to write it on, but it gave me a degree of freedom and flexibility that I valued higher than what I think I would have received in sociology. And I did Cape sociology, and I really liked sociology. It was my favorite Cape subject. I did literature, history. Well, I don't need to explain how Cape works for people. But that's one of the weirdest things here. I have to explain how like the Jamaican education system works and the Caribbean one. But now I don't need to. So I did literature, history, econ, and sociology.
Okay.
With Caribbean comp studies, but everyone does those. Other than that, I mean, I'll figure out what my focus field is. I have I have 5 more semesters to figure that out. But I will say that time was moving very slowly freshman fall, and it's slowly speeding up, and it just rapidly sped up this semester. This semester's gone in a flash for me.
Yeah, I've been hearing that from a lot of people actually. So, I did have a question though. Were you interested in econ at some point? Why did I think that you were gonna declare econ?
Well, I was interested in finance. I think for a fairly obvious reason. But you don't need to do an econ degree to do finance.
True.
And the recruiting process is exhausting. And
recruiting for finance.
Investment banking or wealth management, the various fields within banking. And I just felt as if it wasn't. I just don't think I'm the type of person who would enjoy that type of work for like 70, 80 hours. And maybe I still haven't made my mind up on this.
Okay. I'm
sort of half-heartedly going through it, but it's also been a very busy semester.
Yeah.
And I think I'll come to the decision over Christmas, but we'll see how it goes. I would have been more interested in sort of the financial aspect of sports or video games, the video game industry. Those are sufficiently niche, and specifically the video game industry, I like playing games as a pastime, and I think that it's an industry that will grow, has the potential to grow, and certainly hasn't reached the market share that it will 30, 40, 50 years from now when more parts of the world have increasing access to technology. So I think it's poised in a prime position, and I'd like to get in on it fairly early. That's I think, maybe ambitious, but I also think that in recent years it's become increasingly competitive to get a job within the financial sector, especially out of schools like Harvard, because these large American banks like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, these investment firms, they only have a finite number of spots, and the number of applicants has sharply risen.
Right.
It's in the thousands and tens of thousands now, and if you look at the degrees, if you were to plot the degrees of Harvard graduates over the last 10 years, CS, econ, and statistics were 86 majors in 2008. 2016 there were over 800. In 2024, it's well over 1,000.
Yeah, so my Winthrop's resident dean is one of the faculties in the econ department, and she was telling me in terms of enrollment persons who recently declared their concentration, it has gone up a lot. It's like 850 or I think at least 900.
And that's econ alone.
Yeah.
That's staggering, because that's over 50% of the students in a year group. That means that that's saying that if you were to interview a student 35 years ago what their major was, I don't think there'd be a single degree with that actual degree of popularity.
Right.
And that is happening across different universities.
There's definitely a shift that I'm realizing. So I've definitely heard, because I've been, you meet a lot of people here, and a lot, some people come in very much like, this is the pathway I want to go down. It's consulting or finance, and, they network accordingly and, try to take the steps, whether that's internships to break into the industry. So I know that there are lots of Harvard students applying, but do you think that that's balanced with the type of access to, I guess, you're surrounded by other people who are interested in the field, resources to kind of give you an edge, or do you think that doesn't help with the recruitment prospects?
I think there's a few things to consider when answering this question. One is that even as recent as 10 years ago, I think an Ivy League degree would have given you an innate edge over the competition in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But what you find is that a lot of students who go into consulting or go into investment banking, 60% of Harvard students wind up in some sort of finance. Harvard graduates, I mean, from the recent years,
Mm-hmm.
is that they do it temporarily. It's like a stepping stone to go higher. And I mean, companies aren't stupid, recruiters aren't stupid, and they see this, and they see these people with these strong resumes because they're coming out of these very hard to get into schools, and they know that these students are not going to stick to the firm. So I think in recent years, it actually might be starting, the advantage is equaled out, and might even start petering off in that regard, where employers are less likely to just off the bat flag this resume because it's a Harvard resume.
Mm-hmm.
That is combined with the fact that more of these students are applying for these jobs, which is increasing competition within. So in a given year group, you're competing against your year mates,
Right.
and Harvard is packed with talent, packed with hard work, and packed with ambitious, competitive people. But then these students, so you're going to filter out of this, and if you're the cream of the crop there, then you're going to get tested against someone who's more likely to stay at the firm. If you're an employer and you could get this really great employee for 2 years, but you know they're going to leave. Or you could get someone who may not necessarily be as good initially, perhaps they're even better. Someone who goes to a public university and is, top of their class. That shows hard work, that shows dedication, that shows courage. And when you start comparing them, the employer is going to make the decision that this one's going to be here a lot longer. This is someone who will truly become a part of the company. Then there is a factor that Ivy Leagues do have an advantage. A lot of alumni are within these jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and the alumni network is probably the strongest network you're going to get out of a college. That's maybe, in my opinion, the best resource that a university can offer you.
Right.
Education is fabulous, but fundamentally, if someone can get your foot in through the door, just off the fact that you went to the same school or you played the same sport, you were both members of the volleyball team,
Yeah.
things
in the
like
same
that.
House, yeah,
If you're in the
stuff
same
like that.
house, if you're from the same country, if you're in the same industry, and then it's obviously filtered down by industry already.
Mhm.
If it's kind of like having, everyone knows how far connections go.
Yeah, links carry through
That's
the
what
world,
it is.
Yeah.
It's easy to get a LinkedIn connection that way, and there's also a database that has all this information on it, what every Harvard alumni does. So students are able to access this and contact them accordingly.
Mhm.
So I think it's a multifaceted answer, but I admittedly have not done a great job of the recruiting. I just haven't done the process because my heart wasn't entirely in it. I'm still not that convinced that's what I want to do, but that's something that I have to come to a decision about pretty soon from now. I think I have until the end of this year because the application window is a year and a half in advance, if you can believe that. You apply to these firms to work your junior summer, that's
Yeah.
the summer before your last year of college, during your sophomore second semester. So you're applying to these things in your third semester at the school, and then you won't actually work the job until right before your seventh semester. That's double the amount of time from when you've been at the school.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is ridiculous. And I think it's going to keep going further and further back, because they can do that.
Yeah, and I think that this recruitment process was something that I had to learn about, because I think, I've had maybe 1 or 2 summer internships back home. I didn't realize that, there's so much, I guess, forward thinking and planning that needs to go ahead depending on your industry, and that's something that I had to learn when is the biotech recruitment cycle, thinking about, okay, if I'm interested in going to industry post-grad, how do I work backwards to where I'm at now to, one, get the work experience that they're looking for, get the research experience, that sort of thing. But I think it's important to kind of be aware of that. But I think what I also pick up from you is that you have that awareness, but you're also kind of, it seems like you're also trying to take some time to really figure out, is this something that you're motivated to do, or, is there that connection? And I think that's also commendable.
I mean, essentially, I came in not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. I came in thinking that I'd declare econ and history. I'm doing neither. I'm currently have social studies as my major, but my minor could, it's open to being different things. And so I'm still figuring that out. And maybe that's helpful because I came in with that flexibility, but at the same time, it's also, I think if we were to look at the numbers of how many times people change their majors after declaring, it's high. How many times people change their intentions after coming to the school, even higher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, there's so many possibilities. There's 51 majors at the school. That's a lot. And there's so many interesting classes, so many interesting courses. You just don't know exactly what you want to do. But the downside of that is that you're on a timer. You have to figure out what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't want to commit to something that I don't think. If I'm going to commit to something, it has to be something that I feel passionate about and something that I would enjoy doing in the long run. I don't want to work a job that I don't enjoy as much.
Yeah. Let me ask you, did you feel any pressure kind of from your peers? Because as I said, you do have those people here who are just like, Harvard is a stepping stone. This is what I want to get out of it. And when you're at Annenberg and you're having those conversations, people who have figured out what they're doing for the summer, all of that things, like, how do you balance, like, giving yourself the time to figure it out, but, also, staving off that external pressure? Do you feel that pressure of, like, knowing exactly what you want, what your 5-year plan is?
Well, I will say that I do think international students are disadvantaged in this, in the sense that working summer internships is not as big of a thing in the international community. We don't have, Campion had extracurriculars, but extracurriculars outside of American extracurriculars are an entirely different breed to extracurriculars in other parts of the world. I would be willing to wager quite a lot of money that Europe, Asia, Oceania, extracurriculars in those regions are not held to nearly the same degree that they are in America. Because in America, in college admissions, your extracurriculars play a huge role. And in college admissions to UK universities, they don't play nearly as big of a role.
Okay.
And a lot of people come prepped knowing this. Most Americans have had research internships, they've had job internships. There's a lot of people who've done a lot of crazy things at a very young age. And they know about this because this is the society that they grew up in. They're like primed in it. This is what they understand. These are the waters that they walk in. But I would say that I'm someone who's not very pressured. I'm a very relaxed guy.
Mm.
And that works to my advantage and to my detriment to the point that I'm just too relaxed about things. There are students who have their stuff lined up. But I also personally believe that it's wrong to have the chance to come to a university like this. When you choose to commit to a university, you don't know what your experience is going to be like. Whether or not it's good or bad, you are committing to that chance, you're committing to that possibility. And I think that when you come to university, you shouldn't treat it as a stepping stone, because then you're not really getting what you should be getting out of a university. You're not valuing those 4 years as heavily as you want to, because you're valuing the two years of jobs you're going to work before you go to graduate school afterwards, or the graduate school post it. You're just not making the most of the limited time you have here. You have 4 years. Some have more than 4 years, the super seniors, but I feel like those students, yes, they do well, yes, they do all these things, but I feel like it's a hollow way of making the most out of this university, because you look back on your time in university and you don't remember it as fondly, because your sights were never on it to begin with. And I feel like that's a sadder point of view, but, it's to each his or her own, and people will do what they believe is best for them.
Yeah. And on your point, it's something that Dean khurana kind of talks about at the
Dean khurana is the dean of students, undergraduate students, because Harvard College is for undergrads, but there's many graduate schools which have thousands of other students.
Yeah, that's kind of his message at like.
Transactional, but do not have a transactional experience. You need to have a transformative experience.
Exactly.
Dean khurana is retiring this year. He's been delivering the same speech for 10 years straight.
Yeah, but it's online if you want to check it out. Okay, so, well, I wish you all the best as you kind of figure out how your concentration shapes out and all of that. But in terms of, I guess, if you were to give some advice to, a student in the Caribbean who is thinking about applying to Harvard, what would that be? Maybe you could talk a little bit more about what led you to deciding to apply to Harvard and kind of...
Right, so there's a few things. One is that U.S. universities look for a combination of things. They want you to be either absolutely exceptional out of your mind, which is less likely, or well-balanced. So they want you to have good grades. That goes without saying. I think most students who apply here have a 4.0 GPA in high school. But in the Caribbean we don't have weighted GPAs as much. At least my school, Campion, has unweighted. But they want you to do well in school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you have your sights set on Harvard, you are doing well in school. Or they want you to be, an athlete. There are recruited athletes at the school. 20% of the student body is a recruited athlete because American universities are in the business of college sports. College sports is an entirely American phenomenon. Does not exist anywhere else.
Mm.
Then they want you to be you. And this is a more ephemeral, ethereal thing. It's hard to really encapsulate this in a simple way, but the best way I think I would be able to describe it would be that when you're writing your application and when you're going through the process, you're writing your Common App essay, you're writing your responses to whatever supplemental essays they've given you, you want to tell a story about who you are, where you come from, how where you come from ties into who you are, how who you are ties into what you do. So why do I play squash? I love it, but why do I love it? You have to be able to explain it because they want to understand who you are, because fundamentally there's about 51 people in a room and they're going to raise their hands on an application or they're not going to raise their hands on an application, and that's how people get admitted. Then I'm not going to pretend like there aren't students who do get their way into the school with a lot of money, but the reality is that those students are the ones whose donations fund students like us who can come here on financial aid, because financial aid is funded by alumni donations. Financial aid also funds a lot of things at this school. The alumni donations, fund a lot of things at this school, so they are important. But when you're doing your application, you have your extracurricular activities. These could be clubs that you do in school. I led the environmental club at my high school, and I was the president of the student council. That means that I sat on the board, I took student matters, elevated them to the administrative level, and then implemented changes at the school. Why did I do this change? Things like that. Why? And you do have limited words. You can't always explicitly say it, but you have to be able to piece it together in a way that they can read between the lines and understand. I wrote about my cats on my letter to my roommate essay. I wrote about the food I like. You're afforded a great degree of freedom, and I think that you have to build a character that they'll like. I mean, I looked at my admissions file. I don't know if you've looked at your admissions file.
No.
Well, I can share. They grade us. This is public. If you go on YouTube or something like that, you can see how Harvard handles its admissions, at least what we have that's publicly available, what they declared, following a lawsuit a few years ago. But they grade you on academics, they grade you on extracurriculars, on scales. Then if you make it past the first filter, you get to the interview period where you have an interview. My interviewer was a graduate student, and she asked me about, I remember speaking a lot about the Jamaican education system. She was very curious about how education was in the Caribbean, and about the books that I had in my room, because I have books in my room. Okay. And I was telling her about the books that I've read, stuff like that. Don't go show up to an interview and you have a book in your hand and they ask you about the book and you only have the book to show. It's not about showing. You have to be able to explain why you have it. You shouldn't be trying to fake your way through it. And of course, you can embellish things on your college application. Everybody does that. That's an open secret, and do not be fooled. But I know that looking through my admissions file, one thing that they said was that he seems like a guy who is easy to talk to. He's a good writer. He tells us a lot about himself, and I like him. And I think that's what got me in. I had good grades. I played a sport. I represented Jamaica in squash for several years. I led things at my school. But you're competing against thousands of kids who do a lot of similar activities, and some play sports to a much higher degree than I ever did. There's Olympic athletes here. We had 9 gold medalists in the college at the Olympics a few months ago. So that is to say that the college application is daunting. I can't say that I had it as hard as some people did. I applied early to Harvard, and I applied to Harvard because to me Harvard was the gold standard of a university. I wanted to go to the best school that I knew of. It was a school that represented the pinnacle, and it also to me represented an idea of something that I can come to embrace, and for these next 4 years I can have all these opportunities and I have the freedom to pursue what I choose to do. It gave me options. I wanted options because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. If you're very certain that you want to do computer science, there are universities that probably have better computer science departments than Harvard. Harvard's computer science department is notorious for not being as good as some other schools.
Yeah, very theory-based.
So, also that is to say that when you're applying to universities, the one that's ranked higher than another one may not be a better fit for you. Spend time thinking about which one you want to go to. For me, the thing that brought me to Harvard was the fact that I knew that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to have the opportunity to learn what I wanted to do and try many different things. Immediately I went and took a philosophy class. I'd never taken a philosophy class before. I've taken a statistics course. I've taken a variety of courses that I never had a chance to take in high school, and that's part of what I love about Harvard. Harvard is now in a golden period of Jamaicans, I'd say. We've got a lot of people here.
Oh, yeah.
We've got 5 people. I'm not sure that's ever happened before.
No, I don't think
And,
so.
we want more. We need more people. In the
Yeah.
Caribbean Club, there's like 10 times the number of Jamaican Americans at this school, and it cannot stay that way, so we need more Jamaicans.
Yeah. Well, I first want to say I really appreciate you sharing that advice. I thought it was very solid and very honest, because I think people think that there is this this secret to come into Harvard, and the truth is it's really about showing Harvard who you are, being authentic. Of course, having those foundations with the grades and the involvement. But yeah, I think you captured it very nicely, and I think you also said something very true that Harvard might not be the fit for you. It really just depends on what your interest is and doing the work to find out, with the example, if you're interested in CS, is this the place for you? If you're interested in engineering, is this the place for you? Or is it MIT? Questions like that, and doing the research is very important. So I'm glad you touched on that.
And another thing is that if you're thinking of applying to a school and you narrow it down to be a serious consideration, in this day and age, I think there's a good chance that there are Jamaicans at the school. Not necessarily from the school that you're from, but for MIT, I have 2 friends who are in the same class as me over there. You can probably find them. News cycles in Jamaica are pretty small. There's not that many. We little but we tell, there's not that many people. So a good idea to get a better sense of a school could be reaching out to them.
Yeah.
Separate to that,
And I think kind of what you're moving into now is talking about community, which is something I wanted to ask you about. Where have you been able to find community here? I know you said you have your friend group, but I wanted to ask, what has your experience been being a part of the Caribbean Club, meeting other Caribbean people at Harvard? What has your experience
I think
been?
there's an instant greater sense of familiarity because you have common experiences, you have common backgrounds. There's things that go unsaid that do not need to be explained that otherwise would be different. But I think that I'd say most of my friends are mixed. I've had a lot of friends from FIP, the program, because of the family units we broke into. 2 of my good friends One is from Germany and one is from Romania. And very early on at Harvard, I became a sort of honorary member of the Romanian club. There's a lot of Romanians at Harvard. You'd be shocked. There's a whole heap. There's like 30 of them. And so, I mean, like, you really find your way into these different communities that I would have never thought about. And Romania is not a country that I thought about maybe once or twice at most, thinking about, like, vampires in Transylvania and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I wound up becoming good friends with all of the ones in my year. And my blocking group is admittedly all Americans, one of whom, my roommate he's from Marblehead, which is, it's in Boston. It's a bit outside of Boston. It's in Massachusetts. It's like a lovely seaside community. And I've been to his house several times. And he's the best friend that I made at the school. And so I'm very close with him. And then our wider group, like the group I play poker with is mostly Americans. Because I don't think it's as big of a thing. I didn't know how to play until I came here. And I had 5 roommates freshman year, 5 suite mates. But I just call them roommates. 4 were from America. 1 was from Taiwan, and I was roommates with the one from Taiwan. And still we try and we go out and we have dinner together, and we have dinner together. We see each other around. We'll always be, those are the people you live with. You don't get to know somebody better unless you live with them. Mm-hmm. And some people had disastrous living situations where they just don't get along. We had a very harmonious one. We were all very different. We covered different corners, and I stayed extremely good friends with one of my roommates who initially, at the very beginning of the year, didn't interact with us whatsoever. He didn't want it. I don't know how to describe it. He got a girlfriend immediately. He just go into his room and he just wouldn't talk to us, and then they broke up and he started talking to us, and now he's one of my best friends at the school.
So was it like a rebound friendship type of thing? Or?
No, I think he just I just think he was nervous coming into school, and we are all he was like a Math 55 kid. Math 55 is a very difficult math class.
Yes.
And he had different interests from the rest of us. And so he just didn't associate with us as much. But then I think maybe something changed. I was always, I go to sleep kind of late. So I was always up with another one of my roommates, who I'm still very good friend. Who would be these 2 are the ones I'm closest to out of the room. Mm-hmm. And they weren't the one, and then Danny, who was the one from Taiwan, was my roommate. But Danny is very earnest, very studious. He was always in Lamont, which is one of the libraries, studying and working very hard. We were in very different groups. Like Danny went to bed early, I went to bed late.
Okay.
So we go and grab meals together, we do stuff like that. And then there's Mike and Kevin, who I'm good friends with. So those 3 I was closest to in the room. But then there's the other 2 were a guy named Javier and a guy named Jack. All of us got along. I would say that all of them are good friends of mine. And Mike is now in the same and he's in the same house as me. And Kevin is like right next door. So Kevin comes over and Mike comes over and we see each other, at least 2-3 times a week. So good friends. So that's one way you can find a community with the people you live with. Mm-hmm. Another one is, we've mentioned a few times, the Caribbean Club, which is an affinity group. There are cultural affinity groups that are on the campus, and they create spaces for students where they can be with other students like them that remind them of their home and are just similar to them. Squash, the sport I play, that mutual appreciation between people who play the same sports, things like that. And Jackson, my roommate, also played squash growing up. So that was one way that we became good friends with each other. We'd see each other at the club. But then I met a lot of people just playing frisbee in the yard, playing spike ball, which is this weird sport, you should look it up, in the yard, things like that. Some of my closest friends I met first week of school playing frisbee and spike ball. So, honestly, you can find community from anywhere. I wouldn't say that freshman year I had a very fixed friend group, but I'd say that I knew a lot of people, and it's still the same way.
Yeah.
I'd say the closest friend group is like a group of 4 of us. We watch movies, same overlap into the poker group. And then other than that, I did various clubs freshman year. I did like a consulting club, did an environmental club, I played squash, I volunteered at PBHA. PBHA is called Phillips Brooks House Association, and it is the center of all volunteering at Harvard. And I volunteered a lot in high school, and it's something I feel passionately about. I wanted to continue it, and so I did. So, things that you do in high school, you don't just do them to drop it when you get to college. A lot of people do that. You can drop it. There's nothing wrong with you dropping it. It's just a matter that if you're doing something, hopefully you enjoy it. Because if you're doing something that you really don't enjoy, you're going to suffer through it. And when you write about it, your intent bleeds into your words. So these admissions officers, they read 60,000 applications. they've got a good eye by now. Or you'd hope they have a good eye. I hope they have a good eye considering they determine the student body.
Yeah.
So that's just to say community, you can find it anywhere. And I went back home for Christmas, and I went back home over the summer for a bit. Your friends back home, you're always going to see them. And I really do, I can't stress this enough, try stay in contact with them. My friends and I, we have a group chat, we call each other, we don't have like, we're just a group of guys. We don't have like a strict schedule of when we call each other. It's just so naturally happens. We don't really organize stuff like that, but we text each other. I check the group chat every day, and that way we stay close. And that's not something that would have been afforded to, in the 80s to students who were here. You can't just so easily reach out to people across countries. I mean, my mom was a student here, and she was here when Hurricane Gilbert happened. And she and another student immediately went to raise money, selling mackerel and rundown and all these things, like at a bake sale type of thing, for Hurricane Gilbert victims.
Here at Harvard?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
They ran a whole charity, raised a bunch of money and shipped it back home. And, for her to contact my family back home, she had to like go get a pay phone and call and hope that people pick up, and it was much more difficult. And now it's not like that. And if you don't put intentions, Seychelle mentioned earlier, intentions, you cultivate these relationships. It's very easy to establish a relationship. It's very difficult to keep it going. They require effort. It's like a sprout. You nurture it into a tree. And I think that that's something I can't stress enough, and it's something I'd like to be better with. There's people who are acquaintances I'd want to get to know better. You have to, overcome that anxiety and take the step.
That's a constant struggle, I feel. And, something that I'm also working on, like getting back in touch with my high school friend from Wilmer's and stuff like that. But yeah,
I think it's easier for guys though, because like you can like go like a year without saying anything and you just pick right back off.
Dap up.
That's just it's very simple. We keep things very simple. I think, in my opinion, I think the girl rooms at Harvard have much more drama in them than the guy rooms. I've never heard of a guy transferring rooms. Let's just put it that way. I've heard of many girls transferring rooms.
Unfortunately, the evidence that I have also aligns with that. But I think that's up for debate. But yeah, great point. Be open-minded when you come to Harvard. You can really find community in places that you least expected.
And there's also a growing, budding Jamaican Harvard alumni network. I mean, we've got a group chat going.
Yeah.
There's not a huge number of us, especially at the college. There's probably less than 30 in the history. I'd say less than maybe 20. But
yeah, 30 was a lot. It's just like.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many were here in the 70s or the 80s, but I mean, like Hakeem and John, who graduated from the college a few years ago. John just had his 5th reunion, and I saw him there. Jobs. Okay, there's jobs. There's so many jobs you can work on the campus. I totally forgot to talk about jobs.
Okay. Yeah.
It's how you make money as a student. Very important as an international student. If you ever want to get a meal, you don't want to be losing money making a meal. So you work your jobs. Get a library job. You do nothing, and they pay you to do nothing. It's the best job on campus. Or be a tour guide. Tour guides get tips. That's how they get money. I work as a research assistant and a tour guide. That's how I get my money. And yeah, I mentioned John and Hakeem because the alumni network. John is working within the business side of video games. That's the sector that I want to get into.
Know that. Wow.
Yeah, very recently. Yeah. And so, always happy to talk. When I eventually go on to become an alumni, which is a scary thought. I'm very scared of this. When you go on to become an alumni,
next year.
It's the cycles of life, and we'd always want to look back and pay it forward, because we've been helped by those that came before us.
Definitely. Well, Rhys, I'm gonna wrap up today's episode, but again, thank you so much for...
It's probably dark outside now.
It is.
At like 4:30.
Yeah. But thank you so much for stopping by to talk with me. Thanks for sharing your experience and your insights on navigating Harvard.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's a lovely chat. Very happy to have had the opportunity to do this. And, you know, best of luck for the remainder of your time and what comes afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah,
Nice.
thank you guys for watching. And
Oh yeah, I should do my outro.
yes, let's see it.
Okay, well, yes, Rhys. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And as we mentioned, I'll put Rhys's information in the description. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, or we're not giving professional advice, but we're happy to leave our 2 cents. Alright? Thanks for watching Harvard Highlight. Subscribe for more content. Check the links in the description for more information from this episode. Feel free to ask questions and leave a comment. And before you go, like this video.